I'm already brain dead, David. We're in trouble.
This is another episode of the Flight Ringers podcast. I'm David King. That's Dan Spottswood.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
We are professional cartoonists, and we are Legion of Superheroes experts.
You know, I ran into a Legion story from the Silver Age that I didn't remember reading. Like, I had to read it last night. My headcanon is incomplete. I hadn't read all of them like I thought I had. Either that or I totally forgot that I read it. It was in Superboy, so it's off my radar. It was like a 6-pager where it's a pretty weird idea. Like, the Legion comes back, but they're evil, and it turns out they're from like a parallel world. And Superboy ends up having to team up with a parallel version of him to like stop this alternate future version of the Legion. It's Silver Age. It's pretty far back.
What issue is it? Do you remember?
It's in the first omnibus.
Oh, in the first Legion omnibus?
Mm-hmm. It's
Then I could just look it up myself sometime.
It's towards the back too. It's right before Timberwolf's first appearance, I think. Yeah, here we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, with Ultra Boy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
like
that issue. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What number is it though?
Oh. 117.
Huh.
Superboy and the 5 Legion Traitors.
Weird. I have to put it on my list.
So you read it, right?
The Green Lantern one? Yeah, I read it.
Yeah.
It took me a while, but I read it.
Did I suggest it? If I did, I apologize. I don't remember why. I remembered thinking the whole time, I thought this one kind of sucked. And it wasn't quite as bad as I remembered, but still not super great.
Well, you know what? I think I liked it. But it is stupid.
The thing I remembered about it was I was excited to read it because I wanted to know why the Green Lanterns weren't allowed. And I don't feel like it really answered that question. I mean, it kind of did when I read and reread it this week trying to figure it out. And I guess it sort of explains it, but it doesn't. It's a nothing burger. Like, this is why they're banned. There's actually no reason. The Legionnaires just kind of say, well, we don't want you here. Earth doesn't want you here. But there's no like weird overstepping. I was hoping they were like turning it into a police state or like some massive fuck up and they killed a bunch of people.
Who, the Green Lanterns or something?
The Green Lanterns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing like that.
Paul Levitz kind of hints a couple times that like there was some sort of calamity. Something went down that, remember, like the president's like, absolutely not. We can't ever have a Green Lantern here again or something. Like, you're expecting something like a bigger fuck up.
Well, yeah, the Green Lanterns didn't fuck up anything.
Right.
Like the Time Institute gets trashed, but Colossal Boy does that, and the Green Lanterns fix it.
Tear off the roof.
Yeah. We're talking about Legion of Superheroes 295, 1980 something.
1983. Technically 1982, probably.
Yeah. Levitz, Giffen, superstar Dan's favorite Dave Hunt.
I was going to say David's favorite, Dave Hunt.
And Howard Bender. He did he's the guy who did the throwback section of Legion 300, right? He did the John Fort part, right?
That's right. And he did 283, 291, 295, and 300, according to his Wikipedia.
What was the first number you said? 280? 280?
So 283, 291, 295, and 300. 291, though, is, I think, part of the Great Darkness Saga. Maybe he inked it?
Huh. I don't know. Yeah. I should have my long box handy, but it's at the bottom of the stack, so I can't flip through and check.
I think Dave Hunt, he gels well with Giffen.
You think he looks good on Giffen in this?
I do.
He inked the Giffen Dr. Fate miniseries. That's primo.
That looks
Giffen.
really good.
It looks really good.
And that looks like it was inked with a brush. Like, there's big, thick lines.
Yeah, Hunt works well with the that later Giffen stuff, or the Munoz Giffen stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I like him on this issue as much as like I like whoever regularly does it, Larry Malstead or whoever it is.
Patterson, was it Patterson?
Yeah, it could be Patterson still. But he's good. Like, this face, that's a good face. That kind of reminds me of like when Carl Kessel's doing Giffen later on or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he works. I guess he works.
So a guy known for using his brush. His name is Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
102, not what you'd expect.
Yeah, it should be Dave Sable.
Windsor, yeah. Windsor Newton.
But this flashback stuff, I wish it looked like the John Fort style that's in issue 300.
Yeah.
And the Dave Hunt inking makes it not look like that at all. It just looks like a 70s issue of, or an 80s issue of Superman or something kind of.
Well, they kind of half-ass it. Like, they can't bring themselves to doing, like, the 6-panel pages.
Oh, yeah.
So it has sort of the modern panel breakdowns, but probably couldn't fit as much story in the other way, I guess.
So the plot of this one is it's bookended with Timberwolf and Block. Timberwolf is in the loser zone. And
right. The Great Darkness Saga has just ended, like the issue previous, I believe.
Yeah.
This is kind of a more laid-back issue, a less dark, lower stakes issue. And one of the plot threads at the end of the Great Darkness Saga was...
Light Lass.
Yeah, I was like, what's Lightning Lass's other name? Oh, yeah. She gives Timberwolf an ultimatum. She's like, she's leaving the group, and he has to either come with her or they're done.
Yeah, what kind of ultimatum is that? What kind of person does this?
I don't know. It's weird. I see a lot of fans like taking her side on this, and I understand he's a dumbass, but that's kind of textbook toxic relationship. If someone tries to make you choose between like what's basically your family and what gives you purpose and them, you're better off without them.
Yeah, exactly. Her angle is that she's seen too much bad stuff happen as a member of the Legion, and she's going to leave and find herself or find out where she really belongs or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So she has no plan, and Timberwolf has a system already, and so his choice is to give up everything for potentially nothing except his girlfriend. Or
it's like the guy who follows the girl to another. She moves somewhere and he follows her.
Yeah.
You ever know anybody like that? Maybe you're that guy. I don't know.
I'm that guy.
What worked out for you? Most of the time, it doesn't seem to work out. Like
no, you shouldn't.
6 months later, the boy moves back.
Right. I wouldn't recommend doing that to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
In this issue, Light Lass she's kind of mean about it in the first couple of pages. And then at the end, when they wrap it up and he's made his decision, she seems okay, I guess. But then later on, in later issues,
then
she's real mean to him. Yeah.
It's very strange. You could make a long list of things he deserves to be made fun of for, but I don't think this decision is one of them.
Oh, his decision to break up with her and stay on the team? No, that was a good decision on his part.
Maybe one of the only good decisions he makes in the whole run.
Yeah. I'm just perplexed by the characterization of I guess of Light Lass, but I'm trying to think like what was her personality? I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But to make her this awful, she seems so awful and not understanding about what
absolutely
this guy
makes no sense.
Like this, she should know that this dude has a whole life of his own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like everybody does. Any person who is like, no, give up everything to be with me, or we're done and I hate you. Like, mm-hmm. Okay, that's an easy decision for me to make. You fuck off. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like, no Legionnaire has ever been like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of bad writing, I think, because I don't know that he was like, it could make things more interesting if I make one of the characters a bitch.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like he did it by accident or something. Like, can't relate to the ladies' side of things. Because at the end of this one, like you said, she doesn't seem super awful about it. She's just like, I just have to go.
Right.
For myself or whatever, whether you come or not, I have to go.
Timberwolf is also sort of, well, first he by watching the flashback tape DVD, it helps him make his decision, and he's super excited about having made the decision, and he goes to tell her, mm-hmm. and he says, like what you said, this is my whole family and life and job and world right here, except for you. And then he asks her to stay, and she's not going to, but they seem like they're on an even, emotional level. They're not hating each other.
It's just like, it's like somebody is moving away. They're leaving school. They've got a job in another city. They have to.
Right. So I guess maybe the reason that she's so upset as time goes on is that like it's a festering thing that she feels was never properly resolved. And I guess it wasn't resolved to her liking. Like she didn't get what she wanted, so it made her mad as time went on.
Right.
She's resentful. Maybe that's
Very
the
strange.
reasoning or a reasoning you could have for that.
Right.
But I do feel like maybe this is something like when Levitz started, he started making changes right off the bat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he started trying to clean up the history stuff and tried to start like making big changes to the people and giving them more personality, more upheavals, ups and downs. And so maybe this was just on his list, is break up some of the Legion couples instead of have them to get married, things like that.
Right. Yeah, because it's pretty dumb how basically every lady on the team is paired off with one of the guys.
Right.
People break up. Relationships don't always work out. So that was pretty smart to get at least one in like that. It is funny, like how he sort of, this is the beginning of Timberwolf's, well, the beginning is when he is, this is, we left out that this is the same girl who like talks him into getting plastic surgery.
Right.
Also,
yeah, what is that? Wasn't
red
that
flag.
When did that happen? That was in 285 or something.
It was like
right?
as soon as Levitz took over, right?
Yeah, it was his first issue, wasn't it? First or second issue, but it was about a year ago in David time. I don't know how long ago in Legion time it was. Maybe it was 2 months ago.
Right.
Like, because Great Darkness Saga didn't take 5 months in Legion time. It took 5 issues. It probably took 3 days or something. So
right.
Yeah, Timberwolf just got a facelift.
And that was the beginning of his kind of like downward trajectory from, he kind of loses his mojo. He goes from being like this very self-assured Wolverine kind of archetype, tough guy.
Right, take charge type of dude. Yeah.
But he's slowly turning into kind of a loser. He's funny that way. I don't mind it, but it's a strange direction to take. Maybe Levitz thought this having like a tough guy anti-hero character, that thing is just a fad. It's not going to work out in comics. We don't need one of those guys on our team.
Well, was it even a fad yet? Because I don't think Wolverine really had hit yet, had he? Like when I started reading comics in the late 80s, I guess, Wolverine wasn't quite at critical mass the way he was like in like 1995, right?
Well, I mean, he was hugely popular in the 80s and late 70s even. Like as soon as he was in the X-Men.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like the Cockrum and Byrne days.
Okay.
When Frank Miller did that series in the 80s as well. It just became more so in the 90s, I guess.
Yeah. I was thinking his series that was going on at that time hadn't been going that long. He must have had a mini series, and then his regular series must have started in like 89 or 90 or something.
I don't think that has to do so much with popularity. I think earlier on, and I don't know what caused the editorial shift, but they were reluctant to sort of overexpose characters. So they, for a long, long time, they refused to do a regular Wolverine series.
Oh.
But then somewhere along the line, they're like, fuck it. Now he has like 5 books every month, maybe.
That has to be because of like the shift from newsstand to direct market. Like at a certain point, it's like you could not give every popular character their own series because there wasn't a market to support that. But once you get to a point where it's like dumb comic shop dealers will order everything on a non-returnable basis or whatever, it's like, hell yeah, here's hundreds series you could buy.
Right.
Of course, there never was a Cyclops comic book series.
Not back then. I think he's had 1 or 2 since.
Yeah.
We've been grown-ups a long time, dude.
Not me. I'll never grow up. Never going to get old. Never gonna die.
Yeah, I was already like, I wasn't an adult exactly, but I was old enough and opinionated enough about the X-Men that I didn't even watch that cartoon when it came out. I was like, this is crap.
It's a Jim Lee X-Men.
Right. Exactly. Never liked Gambit, Rogue, and all those characters very much. Jubilee.
I mean, those are my X-Men, but I also don't really get them. Like Jubilee never had a character at all that I recall. Was she Wolverine's like girlfriend?
No, she was like when she first showed up, it was before Jim Lee had taken over, and she was done very differently. She was like some kind of a refugee or something, like a street kid. Well, anyway, she like stows away or something, and the X-Men don't even know she's hiding in their headquarters for a while. She'd steal pieces of the other characters' costumes for clothes, so she always was wearing like a mixture of all the characters' clothes. And they drew her very like prepubescent, I guess, like boyish, or maybe malnourished. I don't know. Not. I think she has all kinds of curves and stuff now, like all the other characters do. But it's supposed to be a kid.
Well, by now she would be like 50 years old.
Oh yeah.
So she would actually have gotten curves and then lost them.
Oh, right.
Not that 50-year-old people have all lost their good looks. You and I as prime examples of that.
Almost. Well, we got a few years left. It could all go.
Yeah, but anyway, Timberwolf, he's no Wolverine, especially in this comic.
No. He looks... We were talking about how they seem to model him after Gail Gerard. In this one, he's reminding me of the Battlestar Galactica guy, the one that isn't Face. There's like two dudes in Battlestar Galactica.
Richard Hatch.
I think that's his name.
Is his name Starbuck on the show?
No, I think Face is...
Face is Starbuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is that guy? I can't think of his name. I haven't seen it in too long a time to remember.
Those were the days when there was so little sci-fi and superhero stuff on TV, you'd watch anything.
Oh, yeah.
Like this is like a not very good version of Star Wars, but it's either this or the McLaughlin Group. I'm going to watch it.
Right. It's like, like they're never going to fucking show Star Wars on TV.
Right.
Oh, but there's a Battlestar Galactica. When I was a kid, they had already stopped making it, and just like once in a while, like once in a blue moon, they would decide to air it for 2 weeks in a row or something, it seemed like.
Yeah, they reran it on like Saturday afternoons in the
Yeah.
80s. That's how I saw it. It was a good theme song.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I'd probably recognize it if I heard it.
Oh, I'm not singing it to you.
Does it have words?
No.
I know it has that voiceover at the end where it's like a shining planet called Earth.
Oh, yeah, because there was like kind of a sequel show, or like they just basically rebranded the show to try to save themselves from cancellation. Yep. And like they find Earth.
I think it's called Battlestar 1980 or something like that too.
Right. Galactica 80 or something like that. Yeah. I am frankly shocked that Star Wars managed to dodge that bullet. Like you would have thought by now they would have done a Star Wars guys in New York City, contemporary New York City story. Like, cause like every sci-fi show seemed to have like one episode like that. Star Trek has many.
Which is not what we want to see in a sci-fi show.
It's generally pretty boring in Star Trek, except if it's a movie and you can have like someone flip Mr. Spock off.
Yeah, I just watched that movie, Star Trek 4 a while back, and it's probably the best of those movies, or among the best. They don't do the shit where they go into the past for like 40 minutes, like there's a whole bunch of sci-fi shit in the future in that movie before they go to the past. So like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that you still kind of get your fix of science fiction. And then the 20th century stuff is a comedy kind of.
Yeah. I've always kind of felt like comedy makes potentially dumb, pretentious concepts more palatable.
I agree with that.
Generally, though maybe not so much with this Marvel stuff. The way they attack the humor is different, but
I think they've gone overboard. They've gone past where it makes sense. Now all their movies are comedies. They're like buddy adventure comedies instead of the super heroic sequential art that we want to see.
Everyone's like a expert wise ass. It's that Aaron Sorkin-y, Kevin Smithy. And I kind of have this problem with Quentin Tarantino's old movies. Like they all feel like plays because everyone's speaking in a way that no one could ever speak. They have all these planned out long soliloquies and jokes that, I mean, maybe that was part of the gimmick early on. It's funny to see people talk like that. But
yeah, I think it's like it makes it fantastic in a way to be stagey and let these guys get away with like impossibly long put downs and shit like that.
Right. Anyway,
for some reason, Block is tuned into Timberwolf's emotions well enough that Block feels that there's something in this DVD of this past adventure that's going to help soothe Timberwolf's stress.
He's just the guy who's always trying to force you to watch something with him. Like I'm that guy to my son. My son's like, I don't want to watch this shit. Come on, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. He just wants someone to keep him company while he's staring at the TV all day. And this might be the first of, because this becomes sort of a thing for Block. Like whenever we see Block in downtime, he's like watching TV or he's watching the archives. And then, of course, Tales become like that whole thing is him watching the time-space visualizer, I think, right? Because when in the very last original issue, we see that he's been watching all the old stories, like on the last couple of pages.
Like they put a Newhart ending on it or something, huh?
Yeah, kind of.
That's kind of interesting. I don't remember that. I haven't looked at, like you're talking about, the last issue of Tales, 348 or whatever.
With original material.
Anyway. Oh.
Actually, I don't know. Maybe it was the very last Tales. That would kind of make more sense, right?
But yeah, he becomes like this historian, or in his search for understanding humanity, and as maybe the newest Legionnaire at this point, he's trying to learn all he can about all their old adventures.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird to think of Block as the new guy, but I guess he is, and there aren't too many more after him. Like handful, maybe 5 more people join after he does.
Well, the next kind of membership drive, when you get like 5 or 6, what was it, like Polar Boy and Censored?
Yeah, that's way later. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Invisible Kid joins.
Invisible Kid.
He's already joined, hasn't he? Mm-hmm. By this issue.
So anyway, it serves as a framing sequence. It serves as a framing sequence for this flashback issue that really exists to give Keith Giffen a break after doing the Great Darkness Saga.
Yeah, but he still did the whole issue, right? He probably still did all the whole breakdowns and stuff.
He may have done the breakdowns.
Though now that I'm thinking about it, it doesn't look too much like a Giffen job outside of the pages he did. Well, I guess it does. It's a lot more panels.
Yeah.
So you know,
very dense.
This could be not laid out by Giffen, because I didn't notice too many of the ticks of a Giffen comic in the flashback.
Right.
Maybe Howard Bender actually got to draw this comic and paste it out himself.
Right.
To a very wordy Paul Levitz script.
Yeah, like page 7 doesn't look like something he'd do, really, to me.
Yeah, I think Giffen really did take this month off, didn't he? Except for 10 pages or something.
What was the last original Tales issue?
I think it was 325 or 24. It's eating you up about this Block watching the reruns, huh?
Yeah, and you know what? I got it mostly right, but it isn't that he just finishes watching. He starts watching on the last original one. And they show him sitting with White Witch watching the screen, and on the screen is the cover of the first issue of the new series.
Oh, cool.
So that explains the subsequent issues.
Right.
He seems kind of close with her. Right? That's the first time I've actually seen anything where it looks like they had something going on.
Yeah, they're just movie buddies.
Yeah, they don't need to pair up. Why do they all have to be paired up?
I don't know.
In fact, I think someone in the letter column is like, you need to introduce more girls, which I agree with, but he's like, you need to introduce more girls so they can be paired up with the stag
right.
guys.
Yeah, these guys need girlfriends. Well, he just needs to introduce civilian characters for these guys to be involved with, or these, whatever, the guys and gals to be involved with romantically.
You need to add a Afro-French girl.
Yeah.
Well,
they need like a future Lois Lane type of person, who, you have to be worried about protecting these people and all that stuff, and just make this cast enormous. That's fine.
Right.
And he kind of started doing that with like Gigi Cusumano, kind of. Mm-hmm. And Officer Aaron. But they're still cops. They're still like superheroes practically.
Is she the first like non-Legionnaire girlfriend that we've seen?
Well,
I mean, I know that Duplicate Boy, maybe.
Well, there was remember Bouncing Boy had a girlfriend. It was just a gag, like you pointed out how she's like fat or whatever.
Right.
And I think maybe in like the Action Comics, like maybe Matter Eater Lad had a girlfriend, or Invisible Kid had a girlfriend for like just one issue or half of an issue.
Right.
But yeah, no like ongoing people, I don't think.
No, like just regular civilian partners.
Yeah, it would make perfect sense,
Yeah, I've noticed like some comic fans, they seem to have a bigger problem with the girl having a civilian boyfriend than the other way around. Like that's dating or marrying down. Like I remember everybody really hated Donna Troy having like this regular guy.
That's husband. What I was thinking. Yeah. Yeah, was it you who told me that like they like went out of their way to like kill that guy
Yeah, they got rid
or
of him so
something?
that she could check up with like Green Lantern, like Kyle Rayner.
What?
Yeah,
Weird.
it was kind of novel. Like it's sort of the equivalent of like the woman having the career and the family.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, I can see how a lot of these I don't know how to put it. Like these fuck faces who are stuck in like 1952 who enjoy comic books. They think that that shouldn't happen.
Right.
Like, yeah, Superman can marry Lois Lane,
Right.
but I don't know an obvious equivalent.
Supergirl can't marry
Jimmy
Jimmy
Olsen.
Olsen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why, because like as an individual solo person she can be the hero, but like if she's married I guess she's supposed to quit being a hero and do Jimmy Olsen's laundry or something.
I don't even know if she ever had any regular boyfriends. They were always like Brainiac 5, or wasn't she like seeing like the horse character for a while?
Oh shit.
Comet. I think it was Comet. Like
Comet
it turns out
he's like a
prince or something like that.
Yeah, I think he got permanently turned into a horse. It's stupid all the way around. I mean, I think Superman getting married to Lois Lane is a mistake. Maybe no superhero should ever be married. Yeah, I think teenagers who they live in a world where whatever there's like 50 of them who have superpowers and everybody knows their real names and stuff. Yeah, just date a regular person. Just try it.
Right.
And if Validus comes and tries to eat your girlfriend, that's even more thrilling than when Validus tries to come and eat your teammate for the umpteenth time, you know?
Totally, man.
You know, Timberwolf should have tried to date a regular girl. He would have felt so cool again. Like if he could impress some girl, you know? He's like, I got the looks, I got the bestiality.
The bestiality.
And then she'd be like, hold it, I don't want to date you.
He's looking for a wolf woman. A female wolf.
A female wolf. Not a bitch like Light Lass.
Right.
A literal. Right. Yeah, there's probably a planet of wolf women that he should have gone to. And they would have all been supportive of him, like, undoing his facelift.
Right, right.
Yeah, it just would have been great for him. He never did that. I think he was just single forever.
He took too much of Block's advice. Every time he thought, maybe I should go out and, try to meet someone, Block just yanked him down to the couch. No, you need to binge watch this show with me. Don't leave me alone.
Yeah, like, I got this DVD. We can watch the first time the Legion of Superheroes met the Green Lanterns.
Yeah, it's also a little weird that the story they choose to watch is the one that inspires him and tells him what he needs to do. It's not even like a story with him in it that you would think, oh, that's right, this is my family. They look after me.
This is such a bonkers thing to inspire him and prove to him what a great family he has with this team. Like, there's no moral to the story whatsoever.
No.
It's kind of just like, I don't know, it's like he didn't really have a theme that he thought through when he made this issue.
Right.
He's like, I want to address some of the Timberwolf shit, and I promised in the letter column a few issues ago that we talk about this Green Lantern stuff. And it must be the Green Lantern thing must be kind of near and dear to Paul Levitz for some reason. Since he brought it up, I don't know that anybody ever was like clamoring for it. Maybe here or there, people are like, "What about Green Lantern?" But I don't even know if that happened. I think just he brought it up and he's like, "Hey, guess what? I'm going to tell you about why there's no Green Lanterns."
It is so disjointed that it almost seems like these two things were cooking separately without having any knowledge, like what Bender and Giffen were doing. They didn't know they were going to end up together. Let's just put them together. They refer to nothing that happens in the flashback, really, within the story. And there's no like weird parallels, like, okay, you're going to reveal Universo, spoiler. Maybe Ron Vidar should be there in the present or something that would make sense. But
yeah, it's very dorky. What happens in the story, in the flashback, the Legionnaires are flying to the Time Institute because an explosion has occurred, or they think it's under attack. It turns out it's just Circadia Senius fucking around, trying to look at the beginning of the universe.
Colossal Boy decides to save the day by tearing the roof off the entire building.
Right, and nothing's going on inside. They're like, hey, I thought there's some shit happening here.
Well, for starters, I'm a little unclear. Did Circadius like create a false alarm just to get them there? Because he wanted to talk to them anyway. And this is the first appearance of what's his name? Circadius Sinus or
Cineas. It's his first
Cineas.
appearance here?
Yep.
No way.
I think it is.
I mean, I was sure I've seen him in, I don't remember where, but earlier. Like, didn't Pat Broderick draw him? Maybe in a later thing, huh?
Maybe. Yeah, and he becomes a major character later.
Yeah.
An interesting character. He's kind of cool, but kind of annoying at the same time because of the way they write it.
Oh, yeah. He has his dialect where he clicks and they add a bunch of Ks.
Right.
But he says the word certainly, and they put 2 Ks, K-K- the word certainly. So it doesn't matter if it's a soft C or a hard C, he still clicks ahead of it.
It's very weird.
Stupid. But Circadius Sinus, he's trying to look back at the origin of the universe in the same way that Krona did way back in Green Lantern something.
Like 40, maybe? This, I guess, has been an ongoing thing in DC. Like, it's forbidden to look and see, like, the beginning of the universe.
Right.
And if you try to, what you end up seeing is this giant hand holding the galaxy, which I think was, at least in the early days, sort of meant to be God, I assume.
Yeah, I assume.
Though I think later stories have, like, said, like, in Crisis, I think it's the Anti-Monitor doing it, or one of those characters.
Yeah, I know they sort of use it as a springboard in Crisis and like that shit. Like it's in like History of the DC Universe. They recap this again.
In the Green Lantern story, there are a lot of biblical aspects to it. Like I said, it seems to be the hand of God, and somehow, like the villain, the Green Lantern, who was, what was his name? I don't even remember. The blue dude,
Krona. He's one of the Guardians.
By looking at it, by making this transgression, like he released evil into the universe. Like evil hadn't existed before that, so it's.
I kind of like that idea. Like it's this kind of mythology stuff, like Pandora's box, or like eating the forbidden fruit or whatever Bible shit.
Right.
And yeah, they sci-fi'd it up by making it whatever this super immortal guy trying to find out about the past. Actually, the hand thing, it seems kind of dumb. Like I think it would work better if that's just how they showed us what they see on the screen.
Right.
Instead of like Krona's like, hey guys, I looked at the TV and there's a giant hand holding a galaxy. What do you think that is? I tried to go back farther and all my equipment got fried.
I guess in my mind, he sees like an insect arm holding the universe. Like it's depends on who's viewing it.
To me, it would be a little bit more interesting if that's just that how like Gil Kane shows us the unseeable or something like that.
Oh, right.
Versus like Krona's like, no, it was a hand holding the galaxy. And that's what I saw. Because that's what he says. They're like, and they say it in here too. It's like Circadius Sinus is like, it was a huge hand. Like, well, that's dumb, you know? But if it's like a kind of a metaphorical thing that only the reader of the comic book sees, to me, that would be a little more sensible.
That makes sense. Though what I like about the hand is it makes it feel very Twilight Zone, like an episode where they realize they're all dolls or they're on a model city or something when a big hand comes down and moves something around.
Yeah.
Like, is this the creators, the DC guys moving things around, or?
Well, yeah, it's a human. It's not a Circadius Sinus guy because there are some inferior species. It's definitely a human hand.
Right.
God's definitely a human.
Right. Probably white.
But yeah, they established that when you see this looking at your viewer like Krona did or Circadius Sinus did, fucks up your equipment.
You get zapped.
Like listening to a bootleg compact disc.
Does that happen?
No.
They just warn you.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Could damage your equipment.
Right.
But so they try it again, and then the this floating head of one of the Guardians of the Universe shows up.
Right. Lightning Lad like somehow absorb the electricity.
Yeah, I think they try and summon the hand again, and he's gonna like that's what happens on page 7. He tries to.
That's a pretty serious. I'm getting zapped by God there. Like maybe that was the beginning of his bad luck.
Could be. Yeah, he tempted fate.
Yeah.
The Guardians show up and suck the whole Time Institute out to Oa. I kind of like the way Bender draws the Guardians. It almost looks like he's really cribbed it from the Green Lantern pages. You sent me those Green Lantern pages. They look kind of Gil Kane-y.
It's very Gil Kane always made them look really kind of grotesque.
Yeah.
These very severe eyes.
Yeah, those eyebrows. Pretty crazy.
I just want to interject. Gil Kane is really awesome. I wish he had drawn some Legion stories. He only did, like, I think some covers, but I just think he's really far ahead of his time. Like the way the poses he uses for the characters seem very like 80s, but he was doing it back in the 60s. It's just amazing.
Yeah, he's really good. Like I never read too much of that early, like the Silver Age Gil Kane stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was being inked by Murphy Anderson or somebody. It
Mm-hmm.
really smoothed out the rough edges. The later stuff,
Yeah.
where it's either, I guess he does solo artwork. I guess the way I understand it is that Gil Kane did kind of loose drawings and left the finish up to the inker. So, like the later guys who are more faithful to the pencils didn't embellish it very much.
Oh, okay.
I think that's what I've heard.
Oh, so maybe somebody else is awesome. I don't know now. What I do know is, like, when I look at like he did a lot of work in the 80s, and almost everybody from the Silver Age that was still around was a little long in the tooth. Like they were past their prime. They weren't drawing as well as they were drawing in the 60s. But he seemed better. And maybe it's the inker. Maybe it's the inkers. I don't know. But like you did those Superman issues and some Green Lantern issues. They're just amazing looking.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Superman like special or annual
Right.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are really good. Like he did the whole works. He wrote them. I think he probably inked them too.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of nutty comics. Like Superman gets like really unhinged in them and stuff. Yeah, there's a Brainiac
Right.
one maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he did the one where Brainiac turned into that kind of cyborg guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, I found those kind of early in my collecting days and was impressed by them.
Yeah. He did a lot of Adam stuff in the 80s. Like they did this weird mashup where he became like a barbarian.
Yeah, I remember those.
It's a silly idea, but it's well drawn.
Yeah, he must have done the 60s Adam too, right?
I think so. Well, certainly some of it. He might have done it from the beginning, though. And he goes back. He, like Toth, I think he did like some Golden Age stuff, like when he was real young.
Right, right.
Super opinionated, smart guy. He seemed like a little atypical for his generation. He was definitely, I think, one of those comics or art guys versus just being kind of a craftsman, getting the job done kind of guy, which he was. But he came kind of from the art world. He was he talked a little more pretentious, I guess.
He wasn't one of these like commercial artist guys who just cranks out comic book pages. Though he did that too, I suppose.
Nothing wrong with those guys. Some of my favorite guys were those craftsman types.
Like Dave Hunt.
Well, I mean, it's interesting to hear people who understand that vocabulary, who went to art school. It's interesting to hear them deconstruct things and talk about things, but I don't think you necessarily need to know all that stuff to make good work. Like maybe Kurt Swan doesn't know that terminology, but he still makes amazing, in my opinion, work. I don't know, maybe not yours, but
no, it's amazing. And Gil Kane, amazing artist.
Yep, diversion, but I knew I wasn't going to have a lot of opportunities to bring him up in this since he did so little Legion. Maybe we can look at his covers one of these days.
Yeah, it might be a way of something to do.
We run out of issues to cover. Only got like 35 years worth of material we're covering.
I think it's kind of incongruous when they have the Silver Age teenage Legionnaires side by side with the Green Lantern people who, I mean, I guess like they never existed at the same time. You know what I mean? Like in the world of reality publishing, like the Green Lantern who's dressed like Hal Jordan or whoever, those guys came after the Silver Age of Legion, or they didn't overlap too much, and they definitely never appeared together before this.
Well, they
issue.
definitely didn't. They definitely didn't appear together. They may have. If I had to guess, I would guess those Green Lanterns predate the Legion. But
oh, really? Like the Hal Jordan kind of Green Lantern?
Like the Silver Age in DC started quite a bit earlier. Like you think of like 1961 in Marvel, but
yeah, that Hal Jordan shit probably was in like 1958, wasn't it?
Yeah, when I was looking at something just the other day when I was researching this, and there had actually only been like a 5-year gap in publication between like Golden Age Green Lantern and Silver Age Green Lantern.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, it's weird because in those days it was like a lifetime for their readership. You know, like everybody is grown up; they don't remember that stuff or something, right?
Right. That 5-year gap between the Green Lantern seems longer because those Silver Age guys are sort of ever young. Like they're still around today as relatively young people. But the Golden Age guys are like locked into like the World War II era. So that gap where they're in suspended animation or we haven't seen them keeps getting longer and longer and longer. Like same with Captain America. He only would have been in ice for like 12 years
Yeah.
at first, and now it was like 70 years or something.
Yeah, in the movies they really make him like this man out of time, right? Like everyone
Right.
knows is dead.
Right. It's a good story idea.
Well, they do that, right? He goes to watch the girlfriend of his like die in the hospital, I think,
Oh,
in the movies.
I didn't see that one. I felt like they kind of skipped over all that from what I saw because like I've seen the first movie and I've seen the Avengers movie, and one leads into the other. Like at the end of the first one, maybe they show him like get frozen, but in the second one, when we first see him, he's already been thawed out. We don't have like a scene of him like walking around and hearing contemporary music and like, what is this place? We don't get like a rude awakening, like where am I? Is this the future?
Yeah, I guess so. I think they allude to it a little bit though.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that Agent Carter character who he's in love with or is his girlfriend or something, and they have her in the 40s stuff, and they gave her own TV series. But then she's old, and I think she dies in one of those later Avengers movies.
I remember in the comic, she conveniently has a near identical daughter, and he just starts dating her instead.
Oh God. Let's get back to this comic.
Yes.
So naturally, the Legionnaires have to fight some Green Lanterns. They're actually a pretty good match for the Green Lanterns.
Right. We have a Durlian Green Lantern. It really annoys me that she can just replicate Triplicate Girl's power.
Yep. Where does she do it at? Right here.
She says it's because of her Durlian power, and that seems ridiculous. Makes more sense that maybe the Green Lantern power would do that, but
actually, neither one makes sense in my opinion. But
okay,
like we've never seen Chameleon Boy do that, right?
Like it makes sense if maybe there was some sort of flesh like connecting them all together, like some kind of umbilical cord, or they were all like shoulder to shoulder or something like that. But
yeah,
you can't just split, can he?
Because if Chameleon Boy could do it, they'd have to kick Triplicate Girl off the team.
Right.
I guess at this point, maybe Chameleon Boy's not a member of the team yet. Maybe that's why that's a problem. But yeah, Durlians can't do that, I don't think. Paul Levitz should know that, but he also goofs all the time.
Maybe something about the ring is augmenting her Durlian powers. I don't know.
Maybe she can use her willpower combined with the Green Lantern ring to do stuff to her own body that a typical Durlan couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what it would have to be.
Then Saturn Girl pulls something kind of amazing off. She manages to call the Guardians with her mental power. It seems beyond what I thought she could do. She's like casting her thoughts across the universe. And
are they not? Are they not on Oa? Oa? Do you say O or Oa?
I always say Oa, but
yeah, she transmits her thoughts all the way out to some billions of miles away.
Pretty cool.
Oh yeah, and then they bring them to Oa.
Mm-hmm.
Oa.
Gotta settle this shit. Did we? Where are you?
I'm on about page 13.
Oh, but on page 12 we got the plop that looks like it's right out of an Underground comic.
Oh yeah, it's the logo for the Plop comic book, huh? I don't think Plop is no longer published at this point in history, the month this came out. That's a strictly 70s comic.
It was like a Mad, or not even Mad, probably more like a not Brandick kind of.
Yeah, it's like Sergio Aragone's kind of. I think he was like the editor or something, maybe even.
Oh, really? Wait. Maybe I'm not even thinking the same. Was it a DC book?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of them had like Basil Wolverton covers.
Cool.
But they had kind of a rotating group of artists, but they were like, they had some of those like Filipino guys doing humor comics in them. There's some Frank Robbins humor comics in there. Aragone's. Trying to think.
Well, just having him makes it a step above like Marvel's attempts. Though, I mean, what was her name? Marie Severin did a lot of that, and that's fine. But it's not like they had like a bullpen full of like great humor cartoonists doing it. They just had the superhero guys that they had who could manage to draw somewhat funny.
Yeah, I think that's about what Plop was too. They had Rick Estrada in there a couple of times. But yeah, they were all just kind of written by just like the regular kind of like the dudes who didn't specialize in superhero stuff, I guess, kind of did this, you know?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have a few of them. They're kind of neat. I don't think that you bust a gut laughing at them or anything. But there is some, cartoony Frank Robbins stuff, cartoony Rick Estrada stuff that I like to see.
I bet Frank Robbins would be good at that.
But that's plop. Giffen must have liked the logo.
Mm-hmm.
The plop sound it comes from when Light Lass had used her power on Timberwolf and he was stuck to the ceiling or something like that, and then he fell when the power wore off.
Right. We are definitely getting into the comic duo era of Timberwolf and Block.
Yeah.
Which might be sort of a downgrade for Timberwolf, but is a definite upgrade for Block, who hasn't had really anything to do for the last 3 or 4 years since he was put on the book.
I don't know why he's on the team. He's a strong guy, right?
Yeah.
What makes him unique from Monel?
He's probably not even as strong as Monel.
Yeah, I don't know. Block doesn't belong. They should fire him.
I like Block. But yeah, not a lot of people can write him well. They never really found his niche, except maybe the stuff with him and Timberwolf.
Yeah, he's just like a straight man or like a naive type of person.
I mean, if you read through the earlier issues when he first appears, it's kind of cool because he's a villain and he ends up becoming a member of the team. So that's kind of neat.
Yeah, he's misguided. Yeah, so maybe that's what makes him different from Superboy or Monel, is that he used to be a bad guy. His weakness is that he used to be a bad guy.
I thought there was something else about, maybe something particular to his powers, like something to do with maths or...
Like he can talk to rocks.
Oh, maybe, yeah, that's it. Like maybe he's like immovable.
Oh, like he weighs a lot, or he can make himself weigh a lot or something?
Like you can't knock him down if he doesn't want to be knocked down, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. I guess that could be.
They all have, up to this point, they more or less all have the same body type. It's nice to have a bigger dude.
Yeah, just for the
non-human looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed on the cover, the way Giffen draws his hand,
yeah,
it doesn't look very rocky. It looks like a regular human hand. And then as an afterthought, he put this kind of chunky stuff on it.
Yep, absolutely.
Like that hand does not belong to
right.
that. But here he's drawn kind of human proportions too. He's not as big in this story. They just
a lot of variants.
Playing fast and loose with it, huh?
Right. Well, they're always kind of trying to develop him without getting too close to like the Thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets a little too Thing-like, and they're like, we need to go a different direction. Let's have some pipes growing out of him or something.
Yeah, little volcanoes. That was a good twist, I guess.
Yeah.
But this Green Lantern shit, they talk about how way back in the days of before the Guardians were the Guardians, they were just like immortals. They weren't little runty bodies with giant heads. They were kind of regular human proportions, but they had this utopia. But it was at a time in history when there was no evil in the universe, and these guys just chilled all the time. And their babies were real smart.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the smart babies wasn't in the Legion comic. It was in the Green Lantern comic where somebody's like, my baby, he used his telepathy to lift up a rock. And the other person's like, what an intelligent baby. My baby was twice as old before he could do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a ancient Guardian's baby. But then this dude Krona, he's got the hubris, the onions on this guy to try and look back at the past and find out the beginning of the universe. Even after they tell him he can't, he tries to do it again. And then they like dissolve him and they scatter his atoms across the universe. And then he comes back, but that's another story.
Yeah, this is way back before they had like parental controls on these time-space viewers. It's like getting up in the middle of the night to watch Skinamax.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but the Guardians bring the Legionnaires there to explain why you shouldn't be doing that. Looking at the beginning of the universe, they don't explain why you shouldn't be doing that, except that it fries your computer.
Right.
And I think Cosmic Boy's like, fuck you, we don't care. Which I think is the correct attitude when some immortal fuck off from outer space is like, you can't do that. Right. I'm like, come on. I got the time machine right here. I can do it.
It is interesting that they take great issue with the just viewing the past. But then when they leave them, they're like, oh, yeah, we're just going to go back in time and interact with the most important superhero in the DC universe when he's a kid. That's no problem. But
Yeah.
just looking at things, that's a no-no.
Yeah, the Immortal Guardians, they don't care about that stuff. They don't care about messing up history and the present and the future.
Right.
That was also a funny line when Cosmic Boy's like, he gets kind of snotty, right? Cosmic Boy's like, we promised to stay with the Chronarch, Circadia Senius, until you were done. But if you are, we're going to take the time bubble back to the past. We want to get Superboy and Supergirl to join our club. They're our idols.
No one takes issue with that.
And I think at this point in the story, the Guardians are done, right? You don't see them anymore. I guess they come back and they punish this Green Lantern. But the story kind of takes a turn. Like, I thought all this was going to be was Legionnaires meet the Green Lanterns and the Guardians. They say why the Guardians aren't allowed, or the Green Lanterns aren't allowed on Earth, and that's it. But there's this whole kind of second act to the Green Lantern adventure that's kind of smushed in here, where this Green Lantern Vidar gets too big for his britches, and he's like, I want to know what their secret is, the Guardians.
Right. Introducing Vidar. I think that is the way they should have gone with it. Like, at some point he was tried to be a dictator on Earth or something.
Yeah.
And they stripped him of his power, but
yeah, that's very logical.
There'd be a better origin for Universo and a better explanation for why they don't want Green Lanterns.
Exactly. Yeah, for the casual reader, Universo is an old-time Legion villain. He's like, what, he can super hypnosis, evil super hypnosis, something like that. He takes the place of the president or controls the president over and over again to defeat the Legionnaires, I think is kind of his story. But he's also used to be a Green Lantern. Also, his estranged son, I guess. I would assume they aren't fond of one another. His son is...
they still get together on Thanksgiving and stuff. They just try not to talk about politics.
They just don't talk about superheroics. But yeah, Universo Vidar's son is Ron Vidar, the Legion mascot, master of time.
Someday Green Lantern.
Yeah, eventually a Green Lantern for a couple issues.
One last thing. Brainiac 5's best friend.
Brainiac 5's only best friend. So there's Universo, old-time Legion enemy. In this comic, they reveal that he was a member of the Green Lantern Corps. A new one. He's kind of new, is what the Guardians say, to the job.
Okay.
And maybe this is his only documented Green Lantern adventure is in this issue.
Yeah, but these guys live forever. Who knows what new is to them? He may have been around for 10 years.
10 years on one job? I don't know about that. He must be a boomer. Had the same job for 10 years. Oh yeah, what's the deal with this? When the Legionnaires go back in time to try and recruit Superboy and Supergirl, they find all these critters in the time stream, as if there's some problem happening. It doesn't. The Guardians didn't cause this.
Feels like they needed an extra page, and they're like, just throw some circus animals and a pterodactyl in there, and say somehow they're getting thrown into the future, so you can have the heroes stop them all, and apparently kill several of them. Like, Cosmic Boy straight up like murders one of the. For all we know, this insect thing is super intelligent. We have no idea.
Right. It looks like a big flying ant thing.
Right.
But who knows? It might just be confused. It's trapped in the time stream, floating around.
Right.
He squashes it between two giant slabs of metal.
Bug blood squirting in every direction.
There's no explanation for that. It doesn't seem like that strangeness was caused by the Guardians or by Vidar, the Green Lantern.
Maybe they still have some kinks to work out of the system, I guess, or did Vidar sabotage it?
I mean, I suppose this is supposed to be an early time bubble excursion, but it still is not too clear to me. You're right. It must just be that they're a page short or something.
Right.
But now they're fighting Universo at the Time Institute. Saturn Girl, she uses her telepathy to turn his willpower against him. She's like slam dunk opponent for a Green Lantern.
Right. And I mean, this kind of seems like something more up the alley of a hypnotist. Like, maybe that influenced him. Like, I won't be in that situation again. No one will be messing with my mind. I'll be doing the messing.
Oh, you think he learned hypnosis as a result of this fight, losing this fight?
I see another missed opportunity. Like, you do see him starting to look into this weird the galaxy in the hand. It'd be interesting if like somehow that gave him the power.
Oh, right, right.
Maybe like got one of those books from the back of a comic book on how to hypnotize
Yes.
your friends.
It's sort of strange how he has this whole 10-year career as a Green Lantern, and then he shifts into sideshow hypnotism and then turns that into supervillainy, I guess.
Right. And also, I think he's from Earth, possibly, and he has 20 years. It's never really. His son doesn't.
Right, right. I think he's the Green Lantern for the Earth sector. Like he's taken up the space, 2814, is that what it is? That's where Hal Jordan always is.
Mm-hmm.
I get the impression that that's where his assignment is also at in the 30th century.
Oh, so his son is half human, maybe.
Must be.
Or maybe pointy ears are like a fashion thing in the future, and people cosmetically alter their ears.
Or maybe he got his head stuck in a threshing machine. But they whoop him. He was trying to get another look at the beginning of the universe. Legionnaires stop him, and then he gets defrocked. And then this page 20 is where they say that's the explanation why Green Lanterns don't come to Earth. The government of Earth is more demanding. They consider your interference unreasonable and destructive, so they insist you keep all Green Lanterns off Earth indefinitely. This is Cosmoboy delivering a message from the government of Earth to the Guardians. Drop dead.
Because of the damage done to the Time Institute?
I guess so. I guess that must be it. The damage
Colossal Boy dodged that bullet, didn't he? He's like, the roof got ripped off when they yanked it out into space.
Well, no, I think they're talking about the damage that Vidar just did when he was trying to look at the beginning of time, right?
Yeah.
It seems really minor compared to what the Legionnaires do all the time.
And they say like they haven't been on Earth for quite a while anyway. Like they almost never go there. Like by the Legion time, all the DC heroes are dead. It's not like zillions of superpowered characters trying to take over the planet and that kind of stuff.
The Guardians say we have long known that your world will not require a resident Green Lantern again, not for many centuries.
Psych.
They know the future though. Didn't really know that.
Well, they can look into the thing, but it's interesting how it parallels the Time Trapper. You know, the Time Trapper has that iron curtain of time that you can't look beyond in the future, and then you've got the hand in the past.
I'm trying to think about this. Like, it just seems weird that like the Guardians are
cops.
They don't want you to look all the way in the past as far as you can go, but they don't have a reason except that it's bad. You know, like this is some it's like religion shit controlling your brain. You know,
right?
And like they're the ones in charge. They know what's there. They won't tell you. You're able to go back there and look probably if you tried hard enough. They won't allow it. I kind of get the impression that they are the ones. Well, they're not though, are they? Somebody else does the lightning strike, blows up your computer.
Right.
But they won't even allow you to pursue bypassing the electric charge that blows up your stuff. Like somebody might keep working on this, but they're like, no, it's not allowed.
It makes you wonder if it's like, you know, the victors writing the history bullshit propaganda. Like they don't want you to look because then you'll figure out how to obtain the power they have.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to share their power or share their
because otherwise, I mean, beyond the supernatural hand story, like there's no logic to it. Like you could learn a lot from looking at the past. It makes sense that maybe you shouldn't be looking into the future. That could create all kinds of paradoxes and problems. But looking into the past should only help things.
Yeah,
benefit civilization.
Right. I mean, I guess what they're trying to say is that if you look back far enough, the reason your computer blows up or you lose your mind is because you're all the way at the beginning and there is nothing prior to that, does not compute, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But they could just say that, you know, like they could just say that we're the Guardians. We know this is for a fact that there's just nothing. There's nothingness prior to the giant hand holding the universe or the galaxy. And Brainiac 5 might have to accept that.
Did anyone actually ever even see it in the story? Like, it doesn't even sound like, what's his name? Krona. Like, he got zapped before he could see it too, right?
No, I think they all saw it.
They saw it?
Yeah, I think Circadia Senius saw it. Krona saw it billions of years ago. I think Vidar saw it.
Oh, okay. I thought it was something before even the hand, like if you watched any further.
Well, right. Nobody saw prior to the hand,
Right.
before the thing exploded. Like here's Vidar seeing the hand. He's like, there it is, the beginning of time.
Well, they all seem fine.
Yeah, just the shit blows up before you can go any farther back than that.
Right.
But yeah, the Guardians aren't doing it. They aren't making your shit explode, but they're
Right.
not explaining what it is, or they don't know what it is that makes your shit explode. But they also don't want you to even try it. And I guess it's because they got burned when Krona did it and opened Pandora's box way back when. Like if you do it
Mhm.
now, you don't open Pandora's box because it's already open. So it seems harmless, except that it blows up your computer. Like they should be talking to Brainiac 5 saying, don't attempt this.
Right. Right.
But they won't explain why. And it's because the Guardians themselves are as bad as Krona was. Like it used to be that all the immortal people were super cool, except this Krona with all his hubris trying to use his technology to see far back in the
Doesn't
past.
make
Now
any sense.
Now they're all just as bad as he is, trying to, with their control over the universe, their guardianship of the universe. You know, they're just the police, right?
Well,
That's
right.
their whole
I mean,
thing.
if their story is to be believed, there's something catastrophic that will happen if you look before that time for the whole universe. And if that's the case, why would they then at the end go, okay, you can keep your time travel shit. I trust you kids to tell everyone on this planet not to.
Yeah, it's pretty dorky. I think the idea is kind of there, like the idea that whatever the race of immortals from the earliest part of the universe, earliest time in the universe, did
Mhm.
something, and then maybe we'll take our futuristic people and have them do something and interact and etc. But like that could be the 5-part storyline. You know what I mean?
Right.
Instead of this fill-in.
It does sort of make sense of the Ron Vidar being a Green Lantern business. We don't know exactly when that happened. Like maybe like he was always a plant in a way. Like keep tabs on things at the Time Institute and make sure nobody went too far back.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Like, I don't think that's ever addressed in the comics whatsoever. But I think they mention that the Time Institute is a recent development.
Here they do, like in this story.
Yeah, like it's new. Is that the idea, that the Time Institute is this new place that just opened up, or they just have the Legion hasn't been there before?
I think it's new, but
Yeah.
it's no older than Brand. I don't think, because they're talking about R.J. Brand.
Yeah, they say Brand is
Funding it.
Funding it. So yeah, it kind of lines up.
I mean, that's what I would do if I was worried they're going to blow the universe up, but I didn't want to fight with them. I'd be go, okay, do what you want, but then I'd make sure I had someone keeping an eye on things and making sure no one actually blew the universe up.
Yeah, I'm trying to say that, yeah, it's probably part of Paul Levitz's plan, or his long game or whatever, to do this. Like he's introduced the Green Lantern people in issue 295 here, and then like I remember in issue 300, Ron Vidar is like, I'm the intern here. I've only been working here for a few months or whatever. So like he's a new addition to the crew. So Levitz is like, yeah, we established that Universo was a Green Lantern. His son, Ron Vidar, just gets a new job at the Time Institute. And then your point is that, yeah, he was probably placed there to keep tabs on it. He was a Green Lantern all this time.
I forgot that he'd been installed there in 300, but because what did he do? Did he invent the time bubble or co-created? He did some time travel stuff in his very first appearance. Like,
yeah, he'd been around a while.
Kind of tech. He gave them some kind of time travel tech. Well, that makes more sense than what I thought. I thought it was like, we have this character that's hanging around. He doesn't have powers. I know. Let's just make him a Green Lantern. Well,
it does kind of feel like that, because there's never any indication that he is a Green Lantern or is going to be anytime. You know, like if we were going to develop this character into a Green Lantern at some point, like, you know, you just do have a one page where Ron Vidar goes home, and in the last panel you see him like open his cabinet and there's some green glow on him and he says something inscrutable, and we're like, what the fuck? What's going on with this guy? And then 6 months later, same thing happens again. Like, this is Paul Levitt style, you know, but he didn't ever do anything like that.
Right.
You saw him as a Green Lantern in 6 years from now, you know?
But it fits well.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't really plan that, we're not sure.
Yeah, he just kind of put it in there, and then he had that in his back pocket, and then like actually forgot about it, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe.
Did you happen to see page 21 here?
I think is it 21, like his inspiration. He's inspired by the story. Maybe he's inspired by Cosmic Boy telling the Guardians to go fuck themselves and get out of here.
Yeah.
Tell his girlfriend that. Hey, that's what I need to do.
He should go like give Cosmic Boy a hug. Yeah. He needs to give him an extra good white elephant gift at Christmas.
I mean, that seems like the only lesson he could have gotten from this story.
Yeah, there is nothing in the Green Lantern story. Real weird. You're right. That's the only thing. Good call.
All starting to make sense.
Timberwolf goes to talk to Light Lass as she's packing up her room. And there's this little critter here. It must be a toy. But it looks like the toy version of...
Boofer?
Boofer, yeah. It's the toy version of Officer Aaron's sex pet, Boofer. With the little... he's all covered in fur and he has a schnozzle.
Maybe it's just her Boofer. Like every lady has one.
Yeah, but Aaron's one was kind of creepy looking. And this one's cute.
Okay.
Like this is the one you win at the carnival.
Right. Yeah. I left out that Cosmic Boy was saying to the Guardians was, you don't help us. You're just here to protect the property, the capitalist property. To get the fuck out of here.
Is that what he says? This I gotta see.
You're just here to protect your intellectual property, the knowledge of the beginning of time. You're not here to serve the public.
Yeah.
As all police do.
We got to the end of this comic, though,
huh? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this last page was super stupid, wasn't it?
Yeah, I kind of like it because very typical of my view of Brainiac 5 being like a super genius, but sort of an idiot at the same time and missing super obvious things.
Uh-huh.
Because Block dismisses it and says, surely Brainiac 5 would have made that connection. No, he's kind of a dummy in some ways. Like he misses little things, so he's focusing on the big picture. But as we were talking about the Ron Vidar stuff, I started wondering, well, that is his best friend. Maybe he's kind of covering for him.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to make sure he gets the job or whatever, or maybe emotionally he can't deal with the idea. I don't know.
Brainiac 5 could be in cahoots with Vidar and, literally covering for him. And Brainiac 5 is going to respect them for whatever reason and not investigate the beginnings, the origin of history or whatever.
Right. It's very hard for me to imagine him respecting that, but yeah. He seems like that would be too tantalizing for him.
I just think as a reader, this page where it's a whole page of the comic where Block is like, hey, this Green Lantern named Vidar, who has the pointy ears. Yeah. We know a guy named Ron Vidar, and his father was Universo. And then he lines up their faces of the Vidar, Green Lantern, and Universo, and he's like, they have the same physique or whatever. Could it be that they're the same guy? And it's like,
you're right.
It's like he spells it all out for us when right off the bat, I'm like, oh yeah, maybe it's just because I knew already, but I'm like, oh, a Green Lantern named Vidar. Could this be Universo? Because I know that Ron Vidar and Universo are father and son. Like you even take out the Green Lantern part of it. It's like, oh, right. It's like the same name. You know what I mean? And it's this pointy-eared bald guy.
So yeah, you're right. There's no mystery there after all. So I take back everything I said before.
I mean, I don't know if we were supposed to know that Universo had been a Green Lantern in the past. I don't remember that. I don't know.
I assume that part's new.
But just the fact that we already know that Ron Vidar is the son of Universo and that now we have a Green Lantern who's a bald guy with pointy ears named Vidar. It's like, oh, this must be Ron Vidar's father. It takes place in the past, et cetera, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So then the Levitz and Giffen put in this whole page where Block spells that all out for us. Like shit that I already like computed just by seeing bald pointy ears named Vidar already, you know, half a comic ago. I just thought it was kind of dorky.
It would have been better if he was looking at two faces that looked radically different. Like a black woman and him, and he can't tell the difference between humans. Like they
would
look
be
identical. Good. He's constantly having to stop. He accidentally is calling Cosmic Boy like Phantom Girl or something like that.
Oh, that would be good.
You humans all look the same.
So embarrassing. They should have that. in the comic.
So that was Legion of Superheroes 295, right?
Yeah.
Is that a wrap?
Yeah, a lot of missed opportunities in that one.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something. Having Green Lantern Vidar try to become the dictator of Earth or something like that as a reason, rather than destroying some equipment in the Time Institute. And they could have roped in the Time Trapper in this story. They could have not even done the Timberwolf shit and made this a whole time travel Green Lantern Time Trapper evil Vidar
they could have
thing.
alluded to some connection between Vidar's son working at the Time Institute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot of things they could have done that they didn't quite live up to the hype.
Yeah, it totally didn't live up to the hype. Like they didn't need to do this comic whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he hyped it up a couple issues ago, and this is what it is. And you said something earlier about how it's almost like the Howard Bender part and the Keith Giffen part didn't know they were going to be in the same comic book together. Like, I wonder if the Howard Bender thing was an inventory comic or done in the past, and then they finally decided to run it here, but I don't know. I wonder if maybe, like, does maybe Paul Levitz specifically do a thing where he's like, for the 23 page comic, I'm gonna job out all but 5 pages as a whatever Legion Lost Files story, and then later I'll have Keith or somebody else fill up the balance of the 5 pages with a framing story, but he does them independently of one another.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's, except for the very last page.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like it's tailored to the story, almost as if it was written first, or they were just written completely independently of one another.
Right.
Maybe Giffen just went off and did his own thing and didn't listen to Paul.
I don't know. It's weird. It's a real failed comic. I mean, it does a job of reinforcing the unnecessity of having Green Lantern people in Legion comics. Like, they suck. They're super boring. Let's never see these fucks again, you know?
Yeah, there's kind of a libertarian streak to it, right? Like, we don't need you around here. We can take care of ourselves.
Right. Earth to the Guardians, right? We don't need you.
But it's not, the story doesn't convince me that that's true, because it sounds like this is like a crisis-causing thing to do. And the Green Lanterns just say, okay, just don't look back. It's been a very long time since I've read any of the other Universo stories, but it never seemed like that was a big part of his, like, I want to know what's going on at the beginning of time. Like, he just dropped that ambition after he got kicked out of the Green Lanterns, I guess.
Yeah, time travel wasn't a thing of his, right? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should read that first one and see what his initial thing was.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, I remember him from 5 years later, where he's just he's the Magneto to Invisible Kid's Professor X of anti-Earth guerrilla movements or something, right? Resistance fighters. Vidar is the guy who's going to kill all his enemies, while Invisible Kid's just going to put him in jail, something like that.
Maybe he ends up crossing some lines later, but at least for a while, it almost seems like he's not a villain anymore.
Yeah.
Probably because he's an Earth villain, so they're on the same side in that sense.
Right. He's the pointy ear faction of Earth people.
Mm. That dickhead with the floating lips, is he on his side?
Yeah, that's where he came from. He's like Universo's right hand or something.
That guy sucked. What an ass.
Yeah, he was a bad guy. Universal's people are bad guys.
Yeah, but they're still Earth bad guys. God damn it! This is their planet too.
Yeah. Love it or leave it. It's what I always say about Earth.
If you don't like it here, get out.
But you know what they also say?
Go live on Mars.
There is no Earth 2.
Not since Crisis.
Yeah, we don't see another a 30th century Green Lantern for quite some time
that we know
of.
But maybe there's been one all along.
Yeah, but I'm talking about in the Hal Jordan costume with the green glow, all of that shit. Nothing like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, maybe 1,000 years from now they have to be sneaky and they can't go around in their stupid spandex underoos showing off their willpower.
I would just like to say for the record, if Levitz and those guys did not plan for Ron Vidar, if his inclusion in the Green Lantern Corps didn't have something to do with this ending and then wanting to keep tabs on making sure the Earthlings don't go before the hand of creation, they should retcon that in, because otherwise it's just stupid. You need that almost.
Yeah.
You need something like that at least.
They don't mention it at all. Maybe it's in the letters pages. That's the reason to
Right.
keep reading the letters pages, I guess.
That's right. So stay tuned for Super Talk.
Super Talk.